Stop chewing on the pencil, Luna. Hi,
Hello! Welcome to Salon and Married.
it's 2025.
It's 2025. It's the end of January. And where are you?
I'm sitting here with a cat chewing on a pencil.
God bless her. Just let her do
All
it.
right.
Oh, she's so
Well,
cute.
what are we going to talk about today?
Well, I think that, we've been, a lot of the episodes this month have been centered around reframing how we think about obstacles,
Hmm.
how we think about money,
Hmm. How
and
we think
how we
about
think about clients and
people.
stylists and people and how we own them.
Hmm.
And I think now we need to kind of talk about how can we rethink our schedules and our life and priorities, because we've been married for 20 in January, I mean in 2025. We'll
20
have been
years.
married for 20 years, which is crazy because I feel like I'm 20. And uh, hold on, pause. Albert, you need to stop.
Please, dude, we're doing this. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Okay. And go. So we'll have been married for 20 years, and we've been through a lot of different, just, I don't want to say seasons because that's such
Christianese.
Christianese. I hate it. We've been through a lot of seasons of posturing.
Fall, May, fall, spring, summer, winter.
And my mama heart just can't take it.
Ooh, mama heart.
Ugh. Okay,
If
so,
you had a mama heart, I don't know if we'd be here. Just kidding.
okay, we'll talk
Are you a
about.
mama bear?
Stop. Okay,
These
so.
essential oils. Okay, never mind. No making fun of anybody. I love essential oils. Sell me
Okay,
some.
but we've been through a lot of different times in our lives where we've had to do different things based on where we were, and I think I don't regret any of the choices that we made, but we did have to make some pretty crazy ones that I think going back, I'm like, oh my gosh, I would have tried to do different. So one of those is when, after we had Albert, our second child, I had been at a commission salon,
Hmm.
during me breaking my back, me having heart surgery, you having a stroke, and while I was pregnant.
Hmm.
And I was pregnant while you were, I don't know, having a mentee
A
bee.
mentee bee. Yeah. I was just dealing with panic attacks and stuff. And
Panic attacks, panic disorder, but you weren't working, like you weren't going to work,
also,
like.
I just realized you went back to work like in a back brace with a broken back, and we're like cutting people's hair, and you're like, "Is it okay if I use a stool to cut people's hair?" And you're like, "Can't even bend." I can't believe you did that in hindsight, because it was
I
like
know.
a
I don't think I
couple
did I
weeks.
don't think I did a ton. I just was like, okay, yeah, I can probably do that one
You probably had a client that guilt
client.
tripped you into coming in with a broken back.
The craziest part of it is I had so many clients actually leave me at that time to go somewhere else because they couldn't wait for me to
They're
come
not your
back.
clients.
They're not my clients, but it was very much like, really?
Well,
Like,
maybe that was the
they were
lesson
like,
you needed to learn.
I know, but they were pissed that I had broken my
I
back.
mean, that was really inconvenient of
I
you to
know.
them.
It was so rude
Inconvenient
of
for
me.
them.
It was
Yeah, it
so
was so
rude
rude.
of
You shouldn't
me
have broken your back.
to get hit by
You
a
should have
car.
just not done that.
Yes. Okay. So, anyway, so I have this brand new baby, and you had just started going. You had just, were going back to the office, and we did not have money for a nanny or daycare of any kind, even like part time. It was all like just crazy expensive.
Also, I feel like if we did, it would have been you would have just been working to pay for daycare, and like, what's the point of that when
Yeah,
you could
because I
just be
was like
home?
not really charging very much. And I think so at the time too, because I was at a commission salon that didn't allow for freedom of schedule. And also the salon was only open when there was a receptionist there.
Hmm.
So it drastically changed when I was going to be available to work.
Hmm.
And so, even though I loved the salon that I worked at, I really did enjoy it. I loved the people that were there. it just wasn't working out for us as a family. And so I started working nights at a booth rent salon that was just down the street. So you would get home, and this was also
I
before COVID. You worked in the office like all
every
day
day,
long,
and I would
every
get
day.
home probably like 6:30 or 7.
No, bro, it was like 7:15.
Yeah, because of the traffic. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would go to work
At like 8
at 8. I would start taking clients at 8
until 11.
p.m. Bro, I remember once starting a highlight at 10 p.m. And I even remember like going like, okay, like doing my first foil and being like, what the fuck am I doing?
I also remember you calling me
It was
multiple
so
times
bananas.
because you're getting out of work at like midnight and going,
Yes.
there's some car
There's a car. I'm sure it was like an Uber, like
Sure.
waiting for like somebody, but I'm like, there's a car in the
or there's
parking
somebody in the
lot
parking lot. It's
near
midnight.
my car.
Yeah.
It's midnight, and I'm like, and you would leave the kids in the house. You would drive, because luckily it was really close to our
Yeah.
house, and you would drive over, and you'd be like, I was gone for 4 minutes, you know, but
Yeah.
you would drive through the parking lot. I'd jump in my car, and we would be home. It was insane. It was insane.
In hindsight, you're like,
And then I
what
would-
were we
and
doing
then,
that
Yeah, and then I
for?
would wake up, and then I would be with the kids all day long
Mhm.
and try and take a nap. And I mean, it was just bedlam. And then Saturday was my only day where I could fully work. And so, literally, the only day that we had together as a family was Sundays.
Correct.
And heaven
And
forbid,
that was for years.
for years.
Yeah.
And like, heaven forbid, we have like a birthday party to go to or errands to run.
I mean,
or,
every Sunday
like,
was filled with Target.
it was like
grocery
always something that
stores,
like
yeah.
we like that we had to do together, because like anything that we had to do together, it wasn't just like, oh, we get to just like lay on the couch all day
Right.
and just like, you know, cuddle and watch TV with our kids.
Hmm.
It was rough.
It was.
It was rough. So what changed it all?
Well, I just remember Saturdays for years, even before we had our son. It was me and Viola, our daughter. Every Saturday it was Daddy and Daughter Day, which was awesome. And then when we had our son, it was like me and the kids, which was great. We got to do a lot of stuff. We'd go different parks and pool and beach
Yeah,
and
I
stuff.
mean,
but
we did make
we made
the
it
best
work,
of it.
but
But
I
it
remember-
was really hard to be like, we only had one day together, all 4 of us.
yeah, and it was really tough. And I remember
The pandemic.
the day is that what made you stop working Saturdays?
I might have stopped beforehand. But
But it was DTH. It was like when you
It
it
was-
was one
it was
until you
coaching.
got into coaching.
I was at the end of the rope, because when you think about that type of schedule, and it was also during this time that I remember wanting to open a salon. I wanted to have a team. I wanted to do all these things. I had all these big ambitions. And yet I remember one time picking up our daughter from like, you know, school, and she had like a notice of like, it's our week, our month to like supply cookies for the bake sale. And I was like, I can't even handle this. Like, it was just like one more thing to like do. And I didn't even have to bake them. I just had to like
Buy
the
Yeah.
cookies. And it just, I was at capacity. I also was not good about boundaries. I know that now, like looking back, I'm like, I remember times when just boundaries were like a really hard thing for me. And I was just like, okay, well, I just have to do it. I just have to do all these things. I have to be the full-time parent. I have to be the full-time hairdresser. And it just, I was at my max. I was at my limit, and I couldn't anymore. And that was when I found Destroy the Hairdresser. I signed up for coaching. Sid was my coach. And slowly but surely, things just started to change. Oh, I forgot. I was also an educator for a big color brand.
Oh, and you were driving all over
I
the
was
place.
driving everywhere all the time, teaching classes, etc., which was fun, and I really enjoyed my time doing that. But again, it was so taxing, and it was also like they didn't pay very much, and so it's almost like you're doing it out of passion, but then just feeling drained at the end of the day. And it was like there was only so much that I could continue to do.
And wasn't there kind of, you had this like unwritten rule in your mind that like you have to work Saturdays, right? Because that was like the
Oh
busiest
my
day.
gosh, yes. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think I knew a hairdresser that didn't work on Saturdays.
Mm.
Like, thinking about it, like, really, like, I don't remember ever having like discussions in the salon of like, oh yeah, Sarah, Sarah doesn't work on Saturdays, or, Joan only works on like Mondays and Fridays. Like, there wasn't any of that. It was like, you work on Saturdays. End of story. End of discussion.
Right.
Nobody ever said different. So, so yeah, it was just like, I didn't really think of it as an option until I started working with my coach. And I had one client who I still do her to this day, and I would follow her into the gates of hell. She came every Saturday or every other Saturday. So she was like a diehard, and she had a really high power job, and she came every other Saturday. And I thought to myself, I'm going to lose her if I don't work on Saturdays. But at the same time, it was like, okay, I have to really think about like what is best for us, what's best for our children, and what's best for me. And I remember talking to her, and I was like, hey, so I think I won't be available on Saturdays anymore. I'm really considering giving away Saturdays, and so that I can be home with the family. And she goes, okay, I'll just come Friday afternoon. I was like, wait, what? It was that easy. And so she just started coming on Friday afternoons, and I was just like, and this is also, by this time, Albert was old enough for preschool, and so then, which is like around 2 years old, so it started to free up my evenings, and yeah, it was just like, I could just state what I needed, and even if she was like, I really can't do Saturdays, I knew that what I was doing was what was best for me, best for our family, best for the kids, everything.
And again, like we talked about last time, I know maybe
It
not
was
at
rough.
this time.
It was hard.
Maybe
but
not,
I'm so glad I did it.
maybe not this time. At this time, you had this mindset, but like we
Yeah.
don't own clients,
Right.
and so but
And
it
at the
still
time,
hurts
I mean,
if she's
we
your.
were, at the time too, like we didn't, I mean, no matter what stage of life you're in, every dollar counts.
Totally.
Every amount of money that you're making,
Especially someone that's so consistent.
counts. And
Yeah.
so when you think about changing things and it potentially changes that number, it's rough.
Scary.
But I knew I can't go on the way that, like, I was ready to like pack up and move to Argentina, like, and just be like, okay, bye, because I'm a flight. I'm like, I'm ready to bounce. And so where would that have left me?
Right.
Starting over at a completely different career,
Right.
or working like, hourly at Target, like, where would I have been then? So it was like, if I can arrange my schedule to fit my life, and by extension our life, kids' life, everything, can I have faith that the money will be there, the abundance will be there? And in all the cases that I've worked on with my students, and it always equals out to working and being infinitely better, because when we're so drained, we're not
As present.
as present. We're not like, as abundant. Like, when you think about like manifesting, part of manifesting is like welcoming in, like having a mindset of like receiving, like willing to receive.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a willingness to receive when you're just like, oh my God, I can't lose these pennies.
Yeah.
Even though the universe is like, bro, I want to give you dollars, So, when you start like putting everything and feeling like whole, and we started having Saturdays, and then the pandemic hit, and then you stopped going into the office every single day, and then it was just like, oh my gosh, like I would still be missing out on so much of our kids' lives and family life if I was still working on Saturdays.
Yeah, and I still remember the first couple Saturdays you had off. We're like, this is amazing. Even still, like we were in our pool this summer, and I was like, remember when you used to work Saturdays? Like you wouldn't be here right now. And we're all just
Yeah.
laying in our pool, and I
Yeah.
think it's not it's not about working Saturdays or working evenings. It's like, what is that for you? There
What is
might be
that for
certain
you?
things that you're doing that you don't need to be doing, or that could be served. You could be could serve you and your family better doing
Yeah.
something else or serving.
I have stylists who are at our salon who are, one of them's like, oh, my partner never works on Wednesdays, and so I don't work on Wednesdays, but I'll work on a Sunday.
Right. Or we have
Like, great.
stylists that go, oh, I want to work at night.
Yeah.
Or I want to do because it serves me better for that. So
Right.
whatever that is for you, like think about that, and don't let the fear of lack
Yeah.
or the fear of change
Yeah.
stop you from making, decisions that can better your family, your life.
Yeah. And also too, because we went through that, and I know how hard it is to have young kids and be a stylist and
Be a salon owner.
be a salon owner, all those things, like being able to give our stylists, even when they don't have children or family, whatever, but like to be able to give them the freedom to pick what their schedule looks like, and the freedom to like just go into the salon and be able to work when they need to work within limits.
I mean, honestly, right now, like we're, this past holiday season,
Yeah.
December through New Year's, we had quite a few people call us and ask for appointments, and like we just didn't have them because most of our stylists are out of town, and the ones
Yeah.
that are booked. And
Yeah.
it's like it does hurt to say that a little bit, but it's like
Yeah.
I also try and reiterate, like our stylists are gone for the holidays. We're not making them sit there on Christmas Eve waiting for walk-ins.
Right.
It's like they're spending times with their families, they're spending time with their loved ones, and it's like
Yes.
that's not, like we said in the last one, we don't own them. We can't tell them, or we don't want to tell them, you
Yeah.
have to be here on Christmas and on, because there's some places and some businesses that make
Definitely
you do
do.
that. And we don't.
And I would also say, and because I know that there's probably people out there who are like, but you're missing out on those clients.
Mhm.
And maybe, but also, and yes, the goal is always to keep hiring. So hopefully we hire people who are like, yeah, I don't mind working holidays. Okay, great. But I have a belief that the revenue that we'll make on that stylist actually being happy and fulfilled and having freedom, the revenue that we would make would far exceed the blow dry that wants to get in on Christmas Day.
Well, not to
or,
mention,
Christmas Eve or something.
like, no disrespect, I guess, but
Or all
the
disrespect.
all disrespect to the clients that are like pissed off that we're not working on Christmas Eve or New Year's Day or something. It's like
Yeah, it's just-
if you can't respect that people don't want to work those days, then they don't. And if people do want to work those days, they can. But just whatever's
Yeah.
right for you, figure that out and go for it.
Yeah. So I hope this is helpful, and you don't have to completely change everything dramatically right now if you're kind of like, oh, I know that this needs to change, etc. So, kind of start to like look through your list, look at what you would like ideally want, and ask yourself like what kind of like small change can I make to like make this my reality, by this certain date.
Because
or
I think you
something.
started working every other Saturdays first or something. It
Yeah,
was a
yeah,
slow
yeah. So
thing.
it can be a
wasn't
slow.
overnight.
You don't have to just completely blow up everything. Maybe you're charging $75 right now and you want to charge 300. You don't have to do that all at one go. There can be baby steps. I know I work with my students to like, okay, like we'll map it out. But if there's something gnawing on you right now that you're like, oh, if one thing could change, my whole, life would change. Start making headway. And I believe in you, and I believe that what you do will return like, big rewards. Okay, bye.
Bye.
The little kitty, she's so cute.